the way opinion changes and to explain it. So sometimes we have coded the discussion groups. I mean, a decision that would have to be made and would affect cost, although I have to say in Ghana they're talking about taping and transcribing. But a decision that would have to be made in this lab is whether you would tape the small group discussions. And if you do, you'll have all the richness of 20 focus groups or discussion groups, but that last a whole day or 2 days, drawn by random sampling. Now, and not only that, you can have new variables from the coded discussions that are often very revealing. So in that way, it certainly is a conversation. Alice, did you want to add to that?
No, I think you're pretty clear on that point.
Yeah, one of the things Alice has found is that there's a relationship between people offering in the small groups competing reasons and opinion changes. And one of my colleagues was very surprised at that because he thought you'd get the opinion changes only when the reasons were on one side and not on the other, sort of like persuasion. But no, you got more opinion change when people were actually considering competing sides of the argument, which I like a lot. I'm bragging about you, Alison.
Maybe one last one.
Yeah,
please.
I know, I'm here.
The last one is the question of hierarchy.
Hierarchy.
Because then you have the advisory committee, and it turns like a parliament or something like
Would
that.
you speak louder, please?
My second question is on hierarchy.
The hierarchy.
Because then you have the advisory committee.
Yeah.
And sorts of turns it into a parliament, if I can use that term.
Turns it into a what?
Sort of a parliament.
Parliament.
You know, with this hierarchy.
Yeah, but
is it possible to remove the advisory committee?
Yes, but remember the advisory committee is doing a lot for the project. Exactly the kinds of things we were talking about. The advisory committee is certifying the balance and accuracy of the materials and the agenda and the basis for discussion. So if you don't have an advisory committee, then you have the problem that you're expecting people to take the word of the organizing group, and they don't have any further protection. So, but remember, the advisory committee is not deciding what should be done. If it's properly done, everything is so balanced that there's no way of telling what's going to happen. It's for the people to decide. Just as Mr. Jiang, the Chinese Communist Party chief I described, he was certain the way it was going to come out, and as he said and admitted, project from accusations that somehow it's unbalanced or predetermined. So we think that we want to do everything possible. Look, it's a lot of trouble to do one of these projects, and so we want to do everything possible to give it the credibility that would allow it to survive reasonable criticisms. Now, of course, unreasonable people can criticize anything, but reasonable criticisms we want to anticipate, and so that's why we do it. Now, there's another kind of hierarchy that we're going to talk about tomorrow, which is the possibility of hierarchy in the small group discussions, and we have studied that extensively and determined that we don't get it in our process, even though it does happen in juries, and it does happen in some other kinds of discussion processes. And this is one of our topics tomorrow as to why we don't get it. And we can present data to that effect to buttress that. But that's one of the reasons we're very proud of this design. And by the way, we're not claiming this design is perfect, but we keep studying it, and fine-tuning it, and improving it. And I will say that it's the best one there is at the moment. Somebody may come along with something better, but they haven't done it. And we have a series of criteria clearly laid out, and we satisfy it, and nobody else does. But it's a lot of effort.